Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Seth, clinical psychologist, Dr. Seth Meyers, and I'm going to talk in this video today about an issue that people deal with and struggle with related to relationships. One of the most confusing experiences that people sometimes have after a breakup is they start to miss the person that they were with. Now, that may sound normal enough and to some extent to be expected. But here's the problem. If the person that you broke up with was someone who really hurt you emotionally, who betrayed you maybe in a really upsetting way, who may have neglected you or mistreated you or even outright abused you in one way or another. And remember that abuse can come in the form of physical abuse, psychological abuse, emotional abuse. There are different ways that a person can abuse another individual in a relationship, and just even neglecting can be incredibly hurtful and painful. Not paying attention, not listening, undermining the other person's feelings, dismissing their needs or their feelings when they share them with you. So if it's a person that you had a relationship with and it was that upsetting of a relationship, a lot of times it's really confusing. Why would I miss that person? And so here's what happens for so many people in this position. When they start having those feelings that they miss that person, guess what happens? They can start beating themselves up emotionally, mentally. They can tell themselves things like this: what's wrong with me? Why would I care about somebody who treated me so badly? I feel pathetic for caring. They can really call themselves cruel words. You know, pathetic is a really nasty, cruel term to use with oneself. But in those moments of confusion, when the person misses that ex and at the same time still remembers exactly all the negative or even horrible things that happened, they feel like, well, it doesn't make any sense. And so what they do is they turn the blame on themselves and they start internalizing that. They feel angry, but the anger isn't towards the ex who mistreated them. The anger gets turned on themselves and it causes anxiety and increased anger. So what do you do if this is your situation and you ended a relationship that was really unhappy, really toxic for you, or maybe even dangerous in some ways? So on the one hand, you know that it is better for you that you're not in that relationship. And on the other hand, you also have these pangs of sadness or loss, or maybe even regret, wishing that you were still in that relationship. Remember that it is normal once you have an attachment to someone to have loving feelings towards them. When you have those moments of missing someone, you're not missing the pain. What you are missing is maybe occasional moments when you did feel like you had a connection, when you did feel like that person cared about you. Now, just because there may have been some moments in that relationship that were decent, or some moments that may have even been good, it doesn't necessarily mean the relationship was one that should have lasted, or that the relationship was the right relationship for you. And so I really recommend for people who are dealing with complex relationships from the past, they still have some of these confusing, lingering feelings about, find a therapist and work through those feelings with someone. It's not a lot of times going to go away easily. Now, there are things that you can do to help. It can help to talk to a couple of trusted friends who have really good, balanced heads on their shoulder. It can help to journal. It can help to read self-help books on how to have a healthy relationship. I wrote a book myself about people who keep repeating the same negative relationship patterns over and over and over again. And I call this relationship repetition syndrome, almost like an obsessive compulsive reenactment of the same negative patterns with the same types of negative partners over and over again. But working through those dynamics with a therapist can really help, because it often takes a fair amount of time to really stop, to really identify what the draw was, and to try to start putting yourself on a path mentally where you can put yourself in situations where you can meet people, more appropriate romantic partners for you. But the number one thing I don't want people to feel when they do occasionally have those feelings where they miss that toxic ex, I don't want them to feel bad about themselves. If this is you, I don't want you to feel like there's something wrong with you for thinking that. When you think back on a relationship, there may have been some things in that relationship that you did like, or there may have been some things in the beginning of that relationship that were positive, that made you believe that maybe this could be a safe relationship, a good relationship, and a relationship that could last for a long time. The reality is, though, once people get into relationships and start feeling an intense bond, or they really are in love, they get to that point where they have crossed that invisible line and they actually love the person now. It is not easy for most people to get out of those relationships. So the best advice I think there is for people to follow when it comes to relationships and dating is make sure that you take the start of a relationship slowly. Make sure that you pay attention in the very beginning to whether this person makes you feel calm and safe, whether you feel that this person listens and consistently pays good attention to your emotional needs, so that if you do fall in love later, it's a better investment. You're going to be safer to stay in that relationship. It is difficult to get out of relationships after two people have fallen in love and also really set down roots in the relationship. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. If it has, please like the video. You can also subscribe or follow my channel. I have a whole library of videos that can be helpful for you on dealing with the whole range of emotional topics. I also do a podcast, Insight with Dr. Seth, episodes on all kinds of topics that help us gain insight into ourselves and others. A self-improvement podcast can really help you become more attuned to who you are, what you need, and maybe some things that are missing in your life that you want to go about and find healthy ways to improve. I hope you have a good day, everyone, and see you next time.